Adamimogo 93.1 FM Lagos, 105.1 FM Ibadan, and 107.7 FM Ido-Ekiti. Southwest today. Issues that are closer to you.
This is Southwest Today, your comprehensive source for news across Southwest Nigeria. And we are live across the region with Adamimogo 93.1 FM Lagos, Adamimogo 105.1 FM Ibadan, Adamimogo 107.7 FM Ekiti State. I am Sam Olugbemini, broadcasting from Adamimogo 93.1 FM in Lagos. The headlines: Tinubu Council's FAC meeting meets service chiefs instead. In Lagos, demonstrations continue as police release end bad governance protesters. In Ibadan, former Oyo governor backtracks on stance, accepts bidded crown. In Ekiti, State Assembly sets 5-year jail term for land grabbers. Now a deep dive into the stories and more. The federal government today cancelled its weekly Federal Executive Council meeting. This is confirmed by some ministers who were seen leaving the council chambers in Abuja at noon following a confirmation. It is unclear why the weekly meeting was postponed, but it comes as the End Bad Governance protest continued despite calls for dialogue by President Bola Tinubu. In the meantime, the president is currently meeting behind closed doors with heads of security and paramilitary operators. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, led the service chiefs and other military and paramilitary heads to the meeting, which is expected to review the nationwide protests, among other matters. Meanwhile, in Lagos, several protesters were arrested by the police at the Ganifa Emi Freedom Park, Ojota, have been released. Although the number of persons arrested has not been determined, one of the lawyers, Justice Ogboi, confirmed that several persons arrested since Friday had been released following the intervention of lawyers and the Commissioner of Police in the state, Adegoke Fayoade.
Persons were detained, 12 protesters were detained, and we made a request of him, and on that day, he ordered the release of the 12 persons. And we can attest to you that indeed the 12 persons are now free. So we also heard, we have on good authority that one protester too here was arrested yesterday. So we made a request to him yesterday. We made a request to him today. He sounded surprised, so he now ordered their release. He ordered their release today. So he ordered the release of that protester. So we are going to be following up with the protester to ensure that he indeed gets his release.
Some of the released protesters admitted that they were simply picked up by the police because they refused to leave the protest grounds when they were asked to do so.
Maria, we kept on singing, they tear-gassed us. We sang revolutionary songs, we chanted solidarity forever until they left us about 4 hours, and we never backed down. And immediately they left us, they released us. We still continue chanting the solidarity song because Nigeria must be free, end to bad governance, end to starvation, end to poverty.
One of the released protesters speaking there. We'll now link up with Adamimogo FM correspondent Ogboi Mark, who is on standby at Ojota, Lagos, to give us updates on today's protest. Hello, Ogboi.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, we're live on Southwest today. Earlier today, you told us that the number of protesters had diminished significantly. Is the situation still the same?
Oh, no. Some protesters from Alausa came and joined the rest of the protesters, and so the numbers has increased just a bit, but not as much as it was last week when it first started. But just a bit, Yes.
Tell us about the security situation.
Well, the security situation has been quite okay. The police officers have been quite civil. However, there seems this last 30 minutes, there seems to be a bit of a tension. Looking here, I can see about 20, 25 police officers armed to the teeth and advancing towards the protesters. At first, they did advance the protesters, and then, of course, the leadership asked everyone to turn on their cameras and go live on social media. And then they did a parade, they did a march forward and the back, and then returned. And then we saw about five police officers with lines of canisters on their chests march towards the protesters. And now we have another 20 police officers armed making an advancement towards the protesters. The protesters are stationed at their, at the base that is towards the bottom of the guarding near the bridge, while the police officers are on the other side and just waiting perhaps for some instructions, because they're looking like they are waiting for further instructions to carry out whatever instruction they want to carry out. And then on the other side of the protesters, there seems to be a truck creating a barricade, prohibiting the protesters from, moving ahead of that mark where they have placed them. So
from your description, do you perceive that there is an attempt to perhaps arrest some protesters? Because we learned that some persons were arrested and have so far been released. Does this look like another attempt to perhaps rearrest some of the protesters?
From the body language of the organizers, the leadership, those at the podium with the microphone, that is what the body language is telling, and that is what they are suggesting. It's the reason they ask everyone to turn on their phones, to go live on social media, so that whatever it is that's going to happen will be captured, because they sense a change in the movement of the officers, and so there is that apprehension that something like that is about to happen. So yes. From my perspective, I don't know, but from the perspective of the organizers and the protesters, yes, they think that they feel something sinister is about to happen.
All right, just quickly, why have you spoken to any protester yet to find out why they're still on the street more than 24 hours after the president had appealed to them?
Well, I have spoken to a few protesters, and one of the things they kept on insisting is that the president did not address any of their demands, and because he didn't address any of their demands, they will continue until the 10th day. Now, from their suggestion, they're saying that there is an attempt to make them leave the street before the completion of the 10 days, and they're insisting that that is not going to happen. They will stand here and keep on making their demands until it is met, up until the 10th day. That's what they have been saying. That is the process.
Okay, just finally, before I let you go, can you give us perhaps a picture of business activities, commercial activities in Lagos along that axis? Is it as usual, or is it is it down? Is it still the usual that we're familiar with Ojota, or has there been a downturn as a result of the protest?
Business is going on as usual. Cars are moving on, transportation, commercial buses are working as fine. Those who are selling their wares are selling to the protesters. So business is fine, the traffic is fine, those who are in their business are doing it just fine. Nothing has been hindered by this process.
All right. Thank you very much, Ogboi Mark.
Yeah.
That was Ogboi Mark, who is live monitoring proceedings, the demonstrations at Ojota in Lagos. Still on the protest, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has directed continued dialogue with protesting youths through the ministries of Youth and Social Development, Information and Strategy, and the Office of Civic Engagement. While thanking protesters who opted to leave the streets after President Bola Tinubu's address yesterday, Sanwo-Olu assured that concerns have been noted and also published on his X handle dedicated phone lines for citizens' access. The governor further praised residents of Lagos for rejecting anarchy and embracing peace, and encouraged them to continue their businesses without fear. And now to neighboring Ogun State, where the state government says it has established 3 charging points in Abeokuta, the state capital, for the 2,000 electric bikes and tricycles it's recently launched. Governor Dakwa Abiodun's media aide Kayode Akimade, who made the announcement, said users can charge or swap batteries at the locations for 2,500 naira per charge, which will enable the e-bikes cover 75 to 80 kilometers while the vehicles can cover up to 200 kilometers. Governor Abiodun, during the launch last week, stated that the initiative aims to reduce transportation costs by 40% and decrease carbon emissions.
We are not just introducing a new mode of transportation. We are pioneering a movement towards a cleaner, more efficient, and technologically advanced way of life. We will be releasing about 2,000 e-bikes in the first phase. These commercial motorbikes can ride up to 75 to 80 kilometers on one full charge.
Currently, the charging stations are limited to the MKO Abiola International Stadium area, Pansheke and Okesokori, all in Abeokuta, which are connected to an uninterrupted independent power plant. And I'll link up with our Ibadan station where Fortune are marshalized and standby to give details of the latest resolution to the Olubadan Ascension dispute. Hello, Fortune. Of the latest resolution to the Olubadan Ascension dispute. Hello, Fortune.
Thank you very much, Sam. Good afternoon, Nigerians, and thanks for joining us at this end of our synchronized broadcast, Southwest Today. My name is Fortune of Moshola. Let's start from neighboring Oshun, where residents there are hoping to end bad governance in Nigeria. Nigerians, and thanks for joining us with their protests. They have been left unimpressed with the president's speech. Coordinator of one of the coalitions fronting the protest in Osun State, Ajala Detunde, informed that the protest would continue because the president failed to address the demands of protesters in his speech. He questioned why the president chose rhetorics in his speech rather than draw line with specifics that could have assuaged the protesters and peter out their agitations. Back home, the Otun Olubadan of Ibadan High Chief Rashidi Ladoja has declared his intention to become a bedded crown monarch in Ibadan land, as stipulated by his status in the revised Olubadan Chieftaincy Declaration. In an interview today, Ladoja, who is the most senior of the high chiefs and next in line to the crown, stated that he will become the Olubadan of Ibadan, while expressing gratitude for God's mercy and sound health. He explained that his decision was born out of pressure on him to accept the beaded crown by various Ibadan indigenes and non-indigenes so as to facilitate his ascension to the throne when the time comes. And finally, in different countries around the world, once a child is born, he or she is given a name and automatically ascribed a national identity. However, a huge part of the child's identity may be lost in the future as a result of untraceable data, which is mainly caused by unregistered birth. Is there a challenge with this in Nigeria? Can a digitalized birth registration process solve the existing problem? Our reporter Victoria Oyemi finds out in this special report.
This challenge of identity in Nigeria and other developing countries. Statistics reveal that around 51 million births remain unregistered every year, despite government and civil society's efforts in ensuring adherence to this. In order to solve this challenge of identity misplacement, or perhaps theft on a more serious level, UNICEF and other international organizations have continued to push forward the universalization of birth registration in a manner that's free and time-saving. The newest approach in achieving this optimum goal of having a ubiquitous birth registration is the e-birth registration system, one in which the blaze settles mainly on a robust intent to strengthen policy and legal reforms that are intended to clear the backlog of unregistered children. But if this e-birth registration advocacy being championed by UNICEF must see the light of the day in Nigeria, then the Primary Healthcare Board will be a springboard as it works with national and local authorities to increase birth registration in Nigeria. According to a report in 2022, there are about 30,000 primary healthcare centers in Nigeria, though only 20% are reportedly functional. How then do we address the gap in registering births as it occurs on a daily basis in urban or rural areas while safeguarding identities later on in the future? Here in Oyo State, over 209 PHCs were recently upgraded by the state government. The resultant effect is more visitations by residents, which will create more avenue for the healthcare officers to sensitize locals of the value and need to embrace the ongoing e-birth registration. Laying a plot around this, the healthcare officer in charge of Abidiodun Primary Healthcare Center in Lagelu local government area, Mrs. Egbiola Omobolanle, not only lauded the initiative, but also shared her optimism about the e-birth registration.
This idea is a welcome idea, and I believe most of the mothers, they will embrace it, because most of us nowadays, in this fifth generation, we realize that nearly everybody has this Android here and there. So it will be easier for us to capture these babies.
Mrs. Igbiola gave some advice on how to improve the capacity of PHCs such that they can fully embrace a digitized method of registering births.
When a program like this is coming up, I think the body that wants to initiate this should first of all discuss with the primary health care board at the state level. At that time, primary health care board will assist you in order to bring the health officers from different facilities together. By then, they will be enlightened.
Meanwhile, the National Population Commission, which is central to this, has intensified efforts in ensuring the e-birth registration is widely ingrained in health systems in the country. According to UNICEF Child Protection Specialist Dennis Onoise, 4,000 registration centers across the country have been established to fast-track the process. The Lagos NPC Director, Mr. Bamidele Sadiku, elaborates on the efforts by the Commission to capture births across all societal strata nationwide.
Everything NPC is doing is local. Everything we're doing is localized. All the registration centers we have in Lagos, 150 of them. Each of the centers have a catchment area that we expect the registrar to cover, even private health facilities that are within that area.
With the e-birth registration system, the Nigerian government can make policies that will improve the lives of citizens based on accurate data coverage. This process has not only drawn our attention to immediate steps forward, but also on methods that can help us achieve our developmental goals. Victoria Oweyemi reporting for Adamimogo FM.
Thank you very much, Victoria Owoyemi. That's the size of our Ibadan package. Over now to Lagos and the rest, or over now rather, to Ekiti for the rest of the news.
Not
Jason E. Jason. The Ekiti State House of Assembly has passed a law stipulating the 5-year jail term in the state. This was disclosed at the weekend by the Speaker of the Assembly, Adeoye Aribasoye, during a chat with newsmen in Ado Ekiti. Aribasoye said the law, which is an amendment to an earlier one, has made the penalty stiffer. He stated that it was 2 years jail term before, but if anyone violates any section of the law, it is now 5 years imprisonment and also payment of 10% of the total value of the land. The Speaker also noted that the law would ensure that people enjoy their hard-earned money so that they are not defrauded in any form. The Ekiti state government has revealed that it has implemented people-focused policies to address this in the state. Commissioner for Information Taiwo Latuboson, who made this known on Adamimogo FM's Current Affairs program Follow-Up, added that the policies are also geared towards integrating informal business on the state into informal economy.
Trading or particular the other. Part of the things Mr. Governor decided are either into one petty trading or one particular vocation or the other. Part of the things Mr. Governor decided on base of his promise was to ensure that most communities that are lacking electricity supply are giving electricity. And within a period of 12 months to 15 months, Mr. Governor connected some of these communities. The advantage of it is that the social and economic life of the people in those environments change. Some of these people are integrated naturally into the business, the economy of the state. And that is why Mr. Governor make it a duty, and it's a continuous exercise that we have been doing in many local.
This is as he reiterated that Governor Biodun Oyebanji is committed to ensuring that citizens enjoy the benefits of his administration. He further maintained that the government is working hand in hand with every stakeholders in the state to ensure a cordial relationship between the government and the people. In separate bid, the Ekiti State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Denira Akinwale, said an ex-convict Omowaye Ayodele and 2 other suspects, Ojote Midayo and Busari Lukman, have confessed their roles in the killings, kidnapping, and attacks on point-of-sales operators in Ekiti, the state capital. Akinwale revealed this in a statement by the Police Public Relations Officer, Ekiti State Command, Sunday Abutu, on Sunday, stating that the 3 suspects, upon investigation, narrated their roles in the killing on June 7 of a woman, Aina Adeyemi, who was robbed and shot dead at the Federal Polytechnic Satellite Campus area in Ado-Ekiti. He revealed that the ex-convict who completed his jail term in May confessed he was a member of the kidnapping syndicate that recently kidnapped former Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Ekiti State University, Ado-Ekiti Professor Femi Olaofe, from his residence on July 9. Recall that security agents had on July 31 discovered that the retired university teacher was dead and buried in a shallow grave by his kidnappers. In neighboring Ondo State, the state governor, Honorable Lekki Ayedatiwa, has directed the Ministry of Infrastructure to begin the rehabilitation of the alternative road into the Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba Akoko. The governor gave the directive when he paid an unscheduled visit to the university to assess some of the challenges confronting the students of the state-owned institution. The Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Lugbenga, conducted the governor around the main gate and the alternate route into the school. Meanwhile, the university community has been using the alternative road leading to the second gate of the school after the main gate was shut due to incessant loss of lives to accidents along the gate. And that's the size of our package from Adamimogo 107.7 FM Ado-Ekiti. Over now to Lagos, where Sam Olugbemini is standing by. To accidents.
Thank you, Michael Ijasan. That's the size of a synchronized broadcast in Southwest today. Join us on Friday on Adamimogo 93.1 FM Lagos, 105.1 FM Ibadan, and 107.7 FM Ekiti State for the Yoruba edition of Southwest Today. Once again, I am Sam Olugbemini. Thanks for listening. Keep listening to Adamimogo FM.